Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome everyone. Basically, this is you can say the reason I mentioned lecture number one. This is basically the first lecture of the VMware vSphere install, configure, and manage training. So, although it's a demo session and it's like a webinar, but technically, this is like my a proper training first lecture. So, I decided to make it open for everyone. So, at least people who don't know about the VMware vSphere and if people who don't know about the virtualization technology or VMware technologies, so at least this session can be helpful for them. Let's move forward. And before I move forward, let me introduce myself. My name is Kashif Ali, and majority of people participant they are my students, so they know me. But if no one knows me, so I'm basically uh, a VMware V expert, and I started. I'm working on this technology since 2014, and I usually deliver trainings, and this would be my batch number 32 online session. So I have already delivered I have already completed batch 31 batches almost, and this would be my 30 uh, batch number 32. And, right. So let's see what we will learn in this session. I will also make it a little bit practical session. So at least if you want to do practice or if you want to make your hand dirty on the technology, so you will have the idea. Let's move forward. So course introduction. Uh, why we are here, basically. So VMware vSphere. Before we start, before we explain this lecture or the slide, uh, do you have any idea what is VMware? Anyone? Go ahead and unmute yourself or just post something on the chat so at least we have an idea that what is VMware. Anyone?
Sir, VMware is a company.
Yep, it's a company. Yep. So even you can Google uh, for VMware. You can like let me show you something here. If you write VMware, right, you will see on the right side. You can see it's an American cloud computing and virtualization technology company, right? With headquarters in Palo Alto, California, and something like that. Just like Microsoft, VMware is a IT company, right? Technology company. So when you open their website, you would see different products here, right? And we can see different platforms and different products are available. And why we are here? So at least we can learn something about vSphere. vSphere is a product of VMware, right? So in this course or in this training, you would learn VMware vSphere and regarding VMware vSphere, and you will learn how to install this product, how to configure this product, and how to manage this product. And the technology we will be teaching in this course or learning in this course that is called virtualization technology. And since virtualization technology has types, server virtualization, desktop virtualization, storage virtualization, we have network virtualization. So in this training, we are going to learn data center virtualization. Specifically, we will be learning about server virtualization in simple word. Right? So uh, if for some reason if no one knows about data center, so data center means server room, right? So we are going to learn about this one. So as you can see in the slide, they mentioned that as a vSphere administrator, you require knowledge about vSphere components and resources and how they work together in your environment. Just like MS Office, vSphere is also a suite. So you can see MS Office is a suite, right? Uh, just give me 1 minute, guys. So MS Office is a suite, right? And MS Office suite includes MS Word, right? Uh, it includes MS PowerPoint, right? And it includes MS Excel, etc., etc., right? These are the product. So these are the component which make MS Office a suite. So vSphere is basically a, a suite, right? Which consists of ESXi hypervisor, right? And vCenter server. So when you combine these two products, it is called vSphere. And we will also discuss a little bit more that what is ESXi hypervisor and what is vCenter server. We do have topping in that. So if you are able to see my screen here, as you can see here, this is the product on which we are going to work. So this is already a ready-made lab. We can see we have a vCenter server, we have ESXi hypervisor, and we have virtual machines. Sorry, guys. See, so why we are here in this session? In this session, we are going to learn how we can install this product. So we are going to learn from the scratch. So let's say if we have a customer or if you are working in an organization and they ask you to virtualize their environment. So before we focus on the slides, let's discuss a general scenarios. Before the session, we had some of the introduction with some of the folks here. Uh, like Azaz is also working on an IT support. We have Jaya. We have what's the other guy from India? I think Govind. He's also working as a system administrator, I think. So we have people from industry, right? And they are familiar that uh, you can see in organizations, uh, the most of the businesses rely on the applications. So correct me if I'm wrong. Is that correct, guys? Unmute yourself, guys. This is not a session which is like for my YouTube promotion or something like this. You can consider this a proper class. So, and the time of this session will be 2 hours. So, if you have any other plans, so make sure you have informed them that we will be in the session for the next 2 hours. Okay, Jamrose, what are you doing? You are writing something on my screen. I think Jamrose is practicing. Go ahead, guys. My question is applications. Let's discuss something. Let's say you have a company, right? And which application you would need for your company? Anyone? Come on, guys. Normally, email services, right? We need email
Website.
server. Yeah, we need web server. Let's say if we have a website, any other application. I think database would be also fit here. Let's say if you have DNS server, right?
Networking, sir, networking.
Uh, network. Basically, we are talking about applications. So we can see Active Directory Domain Services, ADDS. So we are talking about different services here, like applications, right? So let's say you have these application and you have to run these application. So what would you do normally if I ask you to deploy these application or install these application? So obviously you need hardware, right? So let's say we have hardware, and then on the hardware you are going to install operating system. Am I right?
Yes,
And
sir.
then we are going to install our application. So let's have a general discussion regarding this, an application. Application. So uh, let me ask the data center guys. Who was that person? I think from the uh, who are there? Okay, Jaya, please go ahead.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
Jaya, what would you recommend for us? Like if we have to purchase a hardware to run our web services or database server, how
Um,
much RAM would be required in an average point of view?
yes. Actually, before we use like this, like a bare metal, we install hardware, buy some hardware, and then for about maybe 50, and then we install OS and an application. But now we already use virtualization. We use VMware also in our company.
Mhm.
Um, so
Okay, okay, let's talk about before virtualization. So before
yeah,
virtualization, how much, what would be the hardware recommendation? For example, if I
yeah,
say
maybe
60,
server HP, yes.
64,
Mhm.
okay, so let's say 64 GB RAM,
Oh
right?
yes,
For
two
example,
processor.
two
Mm,
sockets or two CP, two processors, right? And let's say 16 cores per
yes,
processor or per socket. So it will be like how much?
this.
Uh,
Yeah, hi.
yes.
Actually, my environment HP DL380 Gen 10. So,
Okay. Okay. Which
so it
server hardware?
will
HP E
HP DL380 Gen 10
DL3 generation
80
10. Okay.
380
380
DL380.
type
380.
up the HP
Yeah,
server.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. What's your name?
Srinivas.
Srinivas.
Yeah,
Do you have any other short name so that I can pronounce it correctly?
Srinivas. No
HP.
problem. No problem.
Okay.
HP DL380 Gen 10.
DL3 generation 10. That is the
Yeah.
hardware which you have in your environment, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. And how much, what are the specifications?
In specification, is core. Each processor is 48, and 96 CPU core and 1 terabyte RAM.
Okay, got it. So you got 1 TB of RAM
Yeah.
and you have two processors, and so total you have
Yes. Total 96.
96 cores you have, right?
Yes.
And let's say the storage may be for, there will be a shared storage, right? Obviously.
Yeah. SAN storage is a HP Ultra 9000. Electra.
Uh, okay. Yeah,
In
so
previous, now HP Electra 9000, and previous
HP,
3 for storage also is available.
okay, so HP Electra 9000 is your storage.
9000. Yeah.
That is your storage solution, right?
Yes. Yes.
Got it. So let me copy this picture. All right.
And NAS server also is available.
Mhm. This is your storage, and we have the server picture here, and this is your server hardware. Okay, so let's say you have this hardware and you have installed operating system on the top of the hardware, and then you are running an application. So I think you are not properly utilizing your hardware resources. Because normally when you have uh, when we have a server hardware, so the normal utilization, the average utilization of that server hardware would be 25% or maybe 35% or maybe 40%, right? But still we have a free resources available.
Yeah, in different departments are available in this is the government sector.
Hmm.
So they are asking for the uh, department VMs required. Which department I don't know for. So they
Hmm.
are sending the my supervisor and then create the VMs and Windows or Linux and Ubuntu uh, and CentOS. These are Linux flavors are using.
Okay,
Windows
got
and
it.
19, only 19.
Yeah. So, okay, I got your point. So the reason, basically, I'm trying to uh, explain the
In
participant.
ESXi hypervisor, only ESXi 8 and 7 and 6.7
Mhm.
now is available.
Okay, got it. So what I'm trying to do now, I'm actually trying to explain the folks that basically, if you do not have virtualization technology, before virtualization we are talking. Let's forget about what is virtualization. Let's say we don't know about virtualization. So if we have these applications and we have to run these applications, so obviously we need a hardwares for those applications to run. So we will need a hardware, something like that. Then we are going to install operating system. Then we are going to install the application. And this is how our application will be working. But there is a disadvantages, we can say the one of the disadvantages, if something happened to the hardware, obviously the operating system will stop working and we are not going to able to access the application. So if this is a very critical application and your hardware stopped working for some reason, or there is a power failure or any hardware failure, so there will be a downtime, right? And some people or some organization, they cannot accept or accept any downtime, right? So this is one of the situation. So what we will learn in this training, we will learn that if we have hardware like this, right? So instead of operating system, we are going to install this thing. So what is this thing? This is basically a hypervisor, right? ESXi hypervisor. ESXi means this is the VMware product. So VMware ESXi and hypervisor is a general term, right? So let's learn about hypervisor, that what is hypervisor. So if I open something here and if I write hypervisor, so you can see here a hypervisor is a type of computer software, firmware or hardware that creates and run virtual machines. And we have two types of hypervisor, right? And this is, look at this example. Let me open this one. You can also read these things. So a hypervisor, also known as a virtual machine monitor, is software that creates and run VMs, right? Guys, give me just one. So uh, also I would recommend. Okay, one interesting thing you can see here. When you visit this site, you will see download now, right? So you can also download a book or a documentation which you can study from that thing, or you can explore more about hypervisor, virtualization, and all these things. So just think about a hypervisor is a software, right? It could be an operating system as well. And I think uh, maybe there are some student, for them maybe this is uh, a new thing. So let me write something here. Do you know hypervisor? Generally speaking, anyone else can share his experience. I think there was a guy who mentioned that he is working on the virtualization already, managing almost 40 plus hosts. So unmute yourself and explain that what is hypervisor. Because today I delivered almost 8 hours session, so I want someone to help me with this session. Yes, Srinu. What is hypervisor? Anyone else?
Sir, we have two types of
Mhm.
and type 2.
Yeah, your
We
voice is not
use
clear.
type 1
Mhm. Yep, go ahead, please.
Sir, we use type 1 hypervisor in environment or organization. Type 2 hypervisor is a hosted hypervisor. Like
Okay.
we use type testing.
So we have two types of hypervisor. One is called type 1 and the other one is called
May
type
I, sir?
2 hypervisor. Yes, yes. Khalid, how are you?
Yes, sir. Very good. Okay.
Yep, go ahead.
We have two type of hypervisor. One is type 1 and type 2.
Mhm.
Type 1 is a direct. First of all, let me explain what is hypervisor. Hypervisor is a computer software or firmware, or we can say even can be a hardware that creates and runs virtual machines. So if we a computer which hypervisor runs or more virtual machine is called host machine, which is basically each virtual machine is called a guest machine. So we have two type of hypervisor. One type 1 which installs directly on the hardware, and type 2 which installs on above the operating system. Any operating system like on Windows, you can install type 2 hypervisor over there, so can run on the above the operating system.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Khalid. So, okay, we have two types of hypervisor. One is type 1, the other one is type 2. Type 1 hypervisor examples are which one, Khalid?
Type 1 is like a VMware, like we have Proxmox, Proxmox something. It's and that's our type 1 hypervisor basically.
Mhm.
Sir, we can install type 1 hypervisor direct on hardware.
Okay. So, let me write here. So we have VMware ES6i, we have Microsoft Hyper-V, and what other hypervisor we have? A type 1, let's say Citrix hypervisor. The old name was Citrix Zen Server, right? So these are examples of type 1 hypervisor, right? And what are the examples of type 2?
We can install type 2 on operating system.
Mhm.
Sir, we have VMware Fusion, which is a VMware product, basically Oracle VirtualBox, Oracle VM, and Solaris. We have Zone Parallels, basically desktop application, which is on the top of the operating system. We can install it. Also, we have VMware Workstation as well, Pro. Yeah.
Got it. So we have VMware Workstation Pro, we have VMware Fusion, we have Oracle, VirtualBox. So these are type 2 hypervisor, right? So in this course, what we are going to focus on this hypervisor. So that is our job actually. So the first topic, okay, I can see Pro Mox VE is also a type 1 hypervisor, parallel. So thank you guys for sharing your inputs in the chat box. So, and interesting thing is the Proxmox is like a new thing for me. So let me search this thing. Proxmox. Proxmox hypervisor. Open source server virtualization platform. Okay, it tightly integrates the KVM hypervisor. I got it.
It's good, sir. It's a Linux box basically. I'm using it for my testing purpose.
Got it. So it is free, right?
Yes, it's very much free. Yes, but there is
Oh,
a charges as well. If you compare the charges are similar to the charges of the VMware.
mm.
The software is free, but their service charges are very much expensive. So
So
that is
let
equivalent to
okay.
the.
Hmm. So what if we have to build a home lab for testing purpose or training purpose? So is there any trial period from the Proxmox?
No, that's free. No trial period.
Okay, Khalid, start working on the slides, prepare a presentation so that we can also deliver a session on the Proxmox next time. I think we have another,
All right.
yeah, Kufi Nasser. Where are you from? We have,
Hello, all. Can you hear me, please?
yes, yeah, I can hear you.
I'm from a country named Togo. We are located in West Africa.
Hmm.
And from my experience, what I can share with the others is that Proxmox is free. And here, most of the college and universities that touch the IT courses
Hmm.
use Proxmox as an hypervisor for the students.
Awesome. That's interesting.
Yes. But when you have to use some advanced services from Proxmox, you have to pay. You have to
Hmm.
pay.
Yeah, just like
But
the VMware. Okay, I got your point.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And let me tell you guys, the ESXi hypervisor is also free. You don't need to pay for it. You can download a free license key from the VMware side if you want to uh, work on the ESXi. So what you can do, you can just create a VMware account and download the ESXi hypervisor and you can work on it. But what is vCenter server? vCenter server is like the management tool. You can see here, this is the lab. So if you want to work on the hypervisor only, like this is, as you can see in this example, I will explain it, how you can access it. This is our labs, but just to give you an overview, this is the hypervisor. I just access it. So if you only want to work on the hypervisor, you don't need to pay for it. And you can create VMs and you can run your virtual machine. That's it. But if you want to manage your ESXi host from vCenter server, which is a management tool, you can see a single dashboard, but we can see multiple ESXi hypervisor. And then obviously there will be some other features. So this is not free. So features are not free. So as Kofi mentioned that Proxmox is free, but if you want to use the advanced version, advanced thing, so that is. So Kofi and Khalid, maybe in my next webinar, we can discuss something and we can prepare something for the Proxmox as well. And it's and it okay. Most university and colleges use Proxmox as an hypervisor. That's good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience, guy. So in this course, we are going to learn this thing. So ESXi hypervisor. So the purpose of this session is to explain the course, the training, which I'm going to start, which I already started actually. Today, as you can see, it is the first lecture of my proper 40 hours training. So, and the purpose of this session is to give you an overview regarding virtualization technologies, and we discuss something about hypervisor and also to discuss the course outline of this training, right? So I mentioned this link. I will also share the slides with you guys. Those who I will make it public, these slides. So these are the shareable slides. So I will share it and you can have a look. When you open this link, I'm trying to open this link, right? This is the slide. Let me share the link of the course outline here, right? So uh, this is the course outline. These are the topics which we are going to cover in this 40 hours training. This is total a 10 modules training. So explain basic virtualization concept. What is virtualization? So virtualization is a technology which reduce IT cost. If you write here virtualization, all right, so it's a technology that can use to create VM representation of servers, storage, networks, and other physical machine. So instead of a single hardware used for a single application, you can uh, use that hardware. For example, we have a hardware, this one. So on the hardware, we are going to install this thing. So in this course, our first practical lab would be that how we can install hypervisor, ESXi hypervisor on the hardware. That would be our first lab. So you will learn how to install this product. Then how to manage this product and how to access this product. Like this will be connected to a switch, right? Just like this. And we would need a management PC. And you can see in the lab, we have an ESXi host, right? And this Windows is my management PC. So from this management PC, I am able to access my ESXi hypervisor, right? So I access my ESXi hypervisor. And then we will learn about how we can create virtual machines and all these stuff. So the first lab would be the installation of the hypervisor and how to access the hypervisor from a management PC. It could be Windows, it could be Linux, it could be your mobile phone, tablet. You can access it through browser, just like I access my hypervisor through the browser. So that would be our first objective of this course, right? Explain the basic virtualization concept, installation. Then we will discuss deploying and configuring vCenter server. So in the lab, we got 3 hypervisor. In my lab, we got 3 hypervisor. So this is my other hypervisor. Let me write. We have ES6i3 and 2, right? So I just tried to access my other hypervisor. So instead of accessing or managing each hypervisor individually, right? The best practice is to manage it from vCenter server. So if someone asks you, what is vCenter server? This thing. So anyone? Romeric, I'm also recording the session, so I will share the recording. So I'm going to deny your request. We have Umair Siddiqui. He's my friend from Lahore, and he's a very expert person, like a technical person. So we welcome you, Umair Siddiqui.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you. For some of them, they have like uh, afternoon. For some of them, it's evening. So thank you. So what is vCenter server? Anyone who can explain it?
Yeah, vCenter server is the management.
Tool. Yes.
vCenter server is the centralized management utility for the VMware.
Yes. So let's say if you have more than two ESXi host, or let's say you have this one, you have another host. So let's say if you have 3 hardwares or more than 3 hardwares, it is difficult for us to manage each ESXi host individually. So what we will do, we will deploy vCenter server, right? So let's say, let me draw a diagram here, this one. So let's say this is my vCenter server. It doesn't look like that, but just to give you an overview, vCenter server. So instead of accessing the host, we can request to the vCenter server like this. As you can see, this is my vCenter server view. So that is the. So the next objective of the training would be to explain the how to deploy vCenter server and how to configure vCenter server. So we will learn about vCenter server, its architecture, the different options of vCenter server. And vCenter server is not only a management tool. When you deploy the vCenter server and you add the ESXi host to the vCenter server, you will get access to different features. So the reason of deploying of the vCenter server is not only the management, it's because of the feature as well. vMotion feature, storage, vMotion feature, right? We have other feature called high availability feature, FT, DRS feature, vSphere distributed switch, right? Cloning, template, so alarms. So these are the different features which will only be available if we are managing our environment from the vCenter server. So all these features are only available when you are managing or accessing your vSphere environment through the vCenter server, right? So also these are the things. What is vMotion? vMotion is a live migration of the virtual machine, live migration of VMs. And let me give you an overview. You can see I have a Windows 10 virtual machine, this one. Let me access that virtual machine, right? This is my Windows 10 machine. I have opened a CMD here inside the virtual machine, and I'm working on this virtual machine. Let me check where this virtual machine is running. When you scroll down, this virtual machine is currently running on ESX2. Means that this virtual machine is running on this host. I want to move this virtual machine from this host to this host. So we can do that. Simply right click on the virtual machine, click migrate, right? And change compute resource only. And you can simply select the host. And finally, from the recent task, you can see here, see, we move the virtual machine. And if I open the virtual machine again, the CMD is still running there. So no process is disturbed. Okay, now the migration, how we did the migration so easily, it's not that much easily. So the reason we are learning this technology so that we can learn how to configure vMotion. What are the requirements for vMotion? So that's why you guys are here. So that you can learn how to create environment where you can move virtual machines from one host to another host, from one ESXi hypervisor to another ESXi hypervisor. Storage vMotion. A virtual machine is data is stored on the disk one, and you want to uh, move or change the data store or the storage of that virtual machine with the even if the virtual machine is powered on. So this is something we will do that. High availability, we will discuss about these things. So that's also one of the motivation to deploy vCenter server. So let me pause for a while. If you have any question, if anyone, or if you have anything to share, go ahead and share it so that we can move forward.
Hello, Mr. Kashif.
Yes, Kofi.
I would like to ask a question.
Mhm,
If we want to use the VMware vCenter server,
mhm.
do we have to deploy the ESSi hypervisor on a bare metal of the same configuration. Let us assume that I want to deploy the ESSi hypervisors on 3 physical servers. You understand? Can
Got
I
it.
use, if I want to deploy the vCenter server, do I really need to have the same hardware configuration for all the ESSi's hosts, or I can deploy the VMware vCenter server to manage the ESSi hypervisor on different hardware configuration? What is your advice as an expert?
So this is the topic related to module number 4, but
Okay.
let me give you a quick overview. Basically, vCenter is an appliance, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And appliance mean it's a ready-made virtual machine
Okay.
which has the Photon operating system installed, right?
Okay.
And the vCenter application is running, right?
Okay.
This is the appliance, the virtual machine.
Okay.
So all you need a hypervisor
Mm.
to run your virtual machine
Okay.
of the vCenter server. It's up to you where you
Mm.
want. And regarding the hardware compatibility, the best practice is that
Mm.
let's say if you have uh, Dell hardware, so it's
Yeah.
best practice that all of your hardware are from Dell,
Okay.
right? This is a best practice. And why? Because
Okay.
there are some features like vMotion feature, which
Yeah.
needs a CPU compatibility.
Okay.
If your CPUs are compatible, you can perform vMotion. If the CPU specifications are not compatible, then vMotion will not work.
Okay.
So, but there are some other options, other features available like enhanced vMotion, EVC compatibility. So we can also utilize some tools like that, and we can
Mm.
uh, hide some of the different features. So we will discuss that in upcoming modules, but this is an overview, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
do you have any idea regarding hyper converged infrastructure?
No, I don't have any idea on it.
Okay,
Yes,
anyone
sir, I have
else?
an idea regarding this.
Yes, Mohib, go ahead.
Yes, sir, this is using for all system in one place. Suppose for if we want to create this is simple. We can say it's for the storage servers and all over compute system is in one box. We can use it. It's a simple hyper converged HCI is used for this. It's a new system. It's very simple for the new managing of data center, etc.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Mohib.
What is
Okay, yep. The question is, what is hyper-converged infrastructure, HCI solution? Do you guys any idea regarding hyper-converged infrastructure? Okay, so hyper-converged infrastructure is basically uh, I have worked on Dell VxRail, so I will mention this name here, Dell VxRail. So Dell VxRail is a hyper-converged infrastructure solution from the Dell side. And as you can see here, this is one of the HCI Dell VxRail. And you can see we have this box, a single box, right? A single box has 1, 2, 3, and 4 compute node. So if we have to install hypervisor on this hardware, we will install hypervisor on this hardware separately, on this hardware separately. So this single box has 4 compute nodes, 4 different machines, physical processors or some the different platform. So you can consider this as a 4 servers, right? So this is a single box, and it has also a built-in storage options available with the name of the vSAN is a product. We will discuss vSAN in the module number 6, inshallah, that what is vSAN. But HCI means a solution of compute plus storage. When you combine storage and compute in a single box, that solution is called hyper-converged infrastructure. So Kofi, if you have a customer or if you have environment in your country, so you can also suggest him hyper-converged infrastructure, HCI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't have this notion by the past, but I have already worked on a physical Dell server that have the same nodes. But let me check from my past projects for such reference about the servers. And at that time, honestly, I didn't know anything about the virtualization technologies, but I have already worked on such servers and it is still working till now, but you have been using the nodes separately till now. But right now, I think that there will be an option to optimize the using of such server. Thank you
Yep.
very much for this additional information.
No worries, no worries. So uh, we almost finish 4 module. You know, guys, in today's session we are going to finish the 40 hours training. So we almost finish 4 modules. So congratulations to all of you. We have done 4 modules till now. So now let's move to the upcoming modules. So configuring vSphere networking. It is module number 5. In module number 5, we will learn about, uh, let me remove this. In module number 5, we will learn about vSphere standard switch versus vSphere distributed switch. Okay, I would need help from the network guys. So is there anyone, any networking guru, Cisco expert here in my session today?
We are many here, don't worry.
Okay, yeah. I want to hear from the rest of the people as well, so that I make sure they all are active. Any network expert? Anyone else? If we have to connect machines with each other, right? Physical machine. Okay. Well, I have 2 questions. I need to answer them first. The one question is vSphere and vCenter server. So who can answer this one? I have a question from Sajad, that what is the difference between vSphere and vCenter server? Umair, can you explain it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Khalid, please.
Okay. vSphere is basically is a hypervisor, which is EXSI, and vCenter is basically the tool which manage all the EXSIs together in one go. So we is a centralized, we can call it centralized management, like we have a domain controller in Windows. So that's like is like that.
Okay, Umair, is
Let
he
me
right?
let me further
Sir,
elaborate this. Let me
Mhm.
further elaborate this. So basically, ESXi host is actually the as the name suggests, like host mm, is a machine to host the virtual machines, right? So we can run multiple virtual machines. We can run each virtual machine acts as a physical machine, right? So and the vCenter server is basically a management console that can manage multiple hosts and multiple virtual machines running on each host separately.
Let's make it very simple, guys. vCenter is the management tool, and vSphere is vCenter is a component of vSphere. So vSphere is a package which consists of vCenter and ESXi. That's
Sir,
it.
you can call it as a container as well
Uh,
to hold everything, even vCenter, EXSI, virtual machines.
Basically, vSphere is a suite. Suite mean a suite, a package, right? And it's a product name, vSphere, just like Microsoft Office. MS Office is a product name. Okay, so let me ask you one question. What is the difference between MS Word and MS Office? Sajad. So I think you got my point now. Okay.
Can
Yep. Yes. Go ahead, Kofi.
Okay, if you want to explain the difference between Microsoft Office and the Microsoft Word, we can say that if we consider Microsoft Office as a main container, okay, Microsoft Word is maybe a small element of or a small part of that container.
Yes. So there's something. So same is the case here. vSphere is a container,
Yeah.
right? And the vCenter is the component of that thing. So I have many questions. So let's move forward and I will answer all the questions. So in module number 5, we are going to learn about standard switch and distributed switch. So as there are some students from the network background also. So let's say if you have physical machines, right? You want to connect them. So you need a Cisco switch or any other switch. I'm also doing marketing of Cisco in this. I should also mention Huawei, other switches. Okay, so normally we need a switch and we connect that machines to the switch. So this is how you connect machines, right? So on LAN, see, we got a switch and we connect machine to the switch. So this is a switch, physical switch. We need cables to connect the machines. What if you have virtual machines? See, this virtual machine, we have this virtual machine. So let's say you have virtual machines here, right? And you are going to connect these virtual machines together with each other. So if they want to communicate with each other, how they are going to communicate. So we will discuss this in module number 7, the different virtual machine hardware in detail. But let me give you an overview that each virtual machine has a virtual NIC, just like physical machine. In physical machine, right, we need RAM, we need CPU, we need disk, we need network adapter, which is also called NIC, we need operating system, and we need drivers. In virtual machine, we have the same elements available. Right? In virtual machine, instead of the physical RAM, we have VRAM, we have vCPU, vDisk, vNIC, we have guest operating system, and VMware tools, this thing. So each virtual machine has a virtual NIC, and when you install the hypervisor on top of the hardware, by default, a virtual switch will be created, and that virtual switch is called vSphere standard switch, right? vSphere standard switch. vSwitch 0 is the default switch, right? And the virtual switch vSwitch 0 has two components. It consists of the virtual machine port group. What is virtual machine port group? We will discuss this in module number 5 in detail. And there will be another component called VM kernel port group. So all the virtual machines will be connected like this, right? And there will be another component called uplink, which connects your virtual switch to the physical switch. And let me show you practically here. This is one of my ESXi host. And when I go to general configure tab, I can see virtual switches, right? And I can see distributed switch. That's our next topic of module number 5. But in standard switch, you can see we have vSwitch 0, we have VM network port group, and we have physical adapter. So we do not have a VM kernel port group. What is VM kernel port group? That is the port group which we use for IP communication, like managing our ESXi host. If you want to access the IP storage, if I give you a task to assign IP address to your ESXi host, so you would need a VM kernel port group, right? And so I just moved my management VM kernel port group from distributed switch to this one. What is the difference between standard switch and distributed switch? That's also we are going to discuss in module number 5, and we do have some labs of distributed switch and standard switches. But to give you a high level overview, distributed switch is like a central point for your virtual networks. If I ask you to create VLANs, so on standard switches, so you will repeat the same configuration for each host. I think there was a guy from India. He mentioned that he has like around 40 plus ESXi host. His name is very difficult, so I'm not able to pronounce his name properly. Sriniv, I think, right? So how many hosts you have? I can see my old students here. Pichwal. Pichwal, do you have a VMware environment in your organization?
Yes, we have one, but currently we are like moving everything to AWS.
Wow. So you are moving from the VMware to AWS, right?
Yes, AWS and Azure.
Got it. So I think you are, I should remove you from my class now. You are in the
Oh
wrong class
no,
now.
no, no. I like VMware, so
Yeah. Okay. So uh, basically, if you have multiple hosts, like let's say you have 40 ESXi host, right? And if I ask you to create 10 VLANs on each host, so you will have to create 10 port groups on each standard switch. And you will repeat the same configuration. So 10 multiplied by 40 is equal to 400 times you are going to repeat the configuration. It is something difficult. So the best practice is create a distributed switch like this, right? How to create distributed switch, that's what we will learn module number 5. So once we learn module number 5, you will be able to how to create distributed switch, how to add ESXi host to the distributed switch, how to create port groups, right? And how to connect the virtual machine to the distributed switch, how to create other VLAN port group, and from the topology, you can also view your network configuration. So distributed switch will give you a very a good explanation of your virtual network, and that's how you can manage your virtual networks or virtual machine connectivity from a single point. So which is why distributed switch topic has been added. This topic was not available in the previous course, vSphere 7, but now in this vSphere 8 training, they have also included a distributed switch topic so that you can have an idea how to create distributed switches and how to add host and how to create port groups and etc. etc. So I hope you got that point as well. So we also finished module number 5. So with this, we have completed 50% of the VMware vSphere install, configure, and manage course. We are too fast. In a single day, we are going to finish all the training today. So configuring vSphere storage, this is something very important because there are features like vMotion, high availability, fault tolerance, which required a shared storage. So in this module, we are going to learn the different storage technologies like fiber channel SAN, iSCSI storage, fiber channel over Ethernet, NAS, vSAN, vSphere virtual volumes, and let me give you an overview. As you can see here, I have this host, and if I click the data stores, I can see I have two data stores. If I click one of the data store here, I can see two host has access to the same data store. So if I have to write draw a diagram here, so that diagram would be something like that. As you can see, let's say we have a storage box, right? This is a storage array. So in this module, we will discuss how to configure storage arrays, right? How to add your host to the storage. Let's say we have a storage switch, right? Like this. So in module number 6, we will learn how to connect your ESXi host to the shared storage, how to move virtual machine data from the local storage to the shared storage. And just to give you an overview, you can also Google this like shared, or maybe you can write storage array. When you write this, you can see these are the boxes. And when you write storage switches, so these are the switches, right? Which connects your ESXi host to the storage array. And if I simply write, okay, I can see here. This is the diagram. So let's assume these are 3 ESXi hosts. They are connected to a Cisco switch. Again, I mentioned Cisco. Okay, see? And then we have these storage arrays. So in this module, we are going to learn how to connect our ESXi host to the storage array, right? How to access the logical unit number, which is also called LUNs, how to access that, and how to, in module number 7, then we will learn some other topics. So and with this, we also covered module number 6. See, recognize vSphere storage technologies, identify types of vSphere data stores. We will talk about fiber channel, iSCSI, configure iSCSI storage, and so on. Module number 7 is my favorite module. Every module is favorite, but this is the most favorite module because in this module, you will learn how to create virtual machine. Like if you have this environment, So how you are going to create VM, you can click new virtual machine, and here we will learn the different options of how to create virtual machine, right? So let me give you an overview. So in module number 7, we will explain all these options. Let's say VM01, right? And let's say module ES6i1. Then we will discuss the different options, where to store the virtual machine data, and all these stuff, right? The compatibility of the virtual machine, which operating system, for example, you are going to install Windows 10 32-bit, let's say for a testing purpose. And then we will also discuss the different options, like what are these options, like limit, reservation, shares, right? And we will also discuss about the thin provision, thick provision, right? So all these options will be discussed in module number 7. And the other options, like which options? Template, right? I think there is a topic. Do you see template here? Yes, create VM templates, custom content libraries, clone. So all these topics are a part of module number 7. With this, we also finish module number 7. Module number 8 is basically for to discuss the migrations, how we can migrate virtual machine. Like if you have a virtual machine running on one host, is I think as earlier today we discussed that we have Windows 10 virtual machine, which is currently running on which host? ES6i1. I want to move this virtual machine from one host to another host. So I can simply right click and I can click migrate, and I can move a powered on virtual machine. So note that this is not that much simple, which I'm doing right now, because this lab is already ready. So which is why I'm doing everything very smoothly. But in our course, we will discuss how to build an environment from the scratch. Like I will guide you how to prepare a home lab, and all these things will be explained. And then after this training, you will be able to uh, properly create a vSphere environment for any type of the customer. I have a question from Mr. Zubair Shams, and the question is vMotion. So storage vMotion, Mr. Zubair. Storage vMotion means that if let's say you have a Windows 10 virtual machine, give me 1 second, I'm going to add another storage. Uh, we have another data store. Let me add that. iSCSI 02 and okay. So as you can see here, I have how many data store? ES data store 1, 2, and 3. Windows 10 virtual machine data is stored on which data store? It is stored on iSCSI 01. So I want to change the storage of this virtual machine. So that is called storage vMotion. Thank you, Umer, for answering the question. So we can do that. Storage only, right? So in module number 7, we will learn these options, like how to change the virtual machine storage. See, I'm moving the virtual machine data from this disk or storage to this one, right? So which is why we will learn in uh, module number 7 is all about these options. See, sorry, module number 8. And module number, okay, this was basically module number 7. All these topics were included in the module number 7 in the vSphere 7 training. But in vSphere 8, all these topics are now moved to module number 8, right? These are the options. We will discuss about vMotion, enhanced vMotion compatibility, storage vMotion. We will discuss about snapshots, right? And we will also discuss how we can configure memory shares and all these things. Uh, Sajad, basically we will discuss that once we are in module number 8, the process. But we can, if we properly configure vMotion, we can reduce the time. There will be no downtime. I mean, you will not feel any downtime when you are doing vMotion. If you have properly configured your vMotion and if you have proper network configuration for vMotion. Okay, and the most important module of this whole training is module number 9. And let me tell you one thing. All these things, all the topics which we will be covering in all the first 8 modules, right? This is only for module number 9. So everything we are doing here in these modules, the first 8 modules, it's only for this module. Because in this module, we are going to learn the DRS feature. What is DRS feature? Distributed Resource Scheduler. Let me explain it to you. Let's say you have 100 VMs and you have 30 ESXi hosts. And if I ask you to distribute the 100 virtual machine on the 30 ESXi host, so this is not an easy job, you know. You are going to do the statistic calculation and you are going to check the workload of all the virtual machines. So this is something not that much easy. So you cannot distribute like this, like you cannot do the mathematics like 100 divided by 30 is equal to that much and we can run like 10 VMs on each host or something like that. This is not an easy job. So we do have a feature called distributed resource scheduler. When you configure this tool will decide where to deploy or where to run or where to migrate a virtual machine. So distributed resource scheduler is responsible for that. You just need to have a cluster. As you can see, we have a cluster. And then on the cluster, you will go to configure option. And here by default, vSphere DRS is turned off. You will have to enable it like this. When you enable distributed resource scheduler, right? You will see different option, automation level, partially automated, fully automated. So all these options will be discussed in module number 9. Like what is distributed resource scheduler and how we can configure this, right? And we will see the result of that. So which is why module number 9 is all about. So this DRS tool will help you. Yep.
DRS is also responsible for low latency in the infrastructure, right?
Okay. DRS is basically, okay, let me answer your question. You know, when you enable DRS feature, it will give a score to each virtual machine. The score is based on the performance of the virtual machine. So for example, you have VM1 and the score of that virtual machine is 50. So it means the virtual machine performance is not good. It could be of the latency, it could be of the CPU performance or the RAM, right? So based on the score, DRS will decide if that virtual machine is healthy or not healthy. So yes to your answer.
Right. So based on the scores, the system will decide whether the VM that is running that is not healthy on a specific host, will it run like on same host or it will need to move to another host? That will decide automatically by the system, right? Based on our configuration.
You know, Umair, you are very smart. You forced me to enable DRS feature and I enable it now. So, I just enabled DRS feature. And when I go to monitor tab, from here, I can see VM DRS scores, and you can see all the virtual machine are healthy. See? So there will be no action occurred from the DRS feature, because you can see each virtual machine has a 97%, 9700%. So if a virtual machine score is near to 100, it means the virtual machine performance is good, right? So there will be no action needed from the DRS side. But for some reason, if I open the Windows 10 and if I start working on this, and if the score goes down, so DRS will decide where to migrate that virtual machine, so that the virtual machine can get a good performance or get access to good resources. So DRS is not designed for a small or medium level organization. It is an enterprise level feature, and which is why this feature is very expensive. For DRS feature, you will need a vSphere Enterprise Plus license. This feature is not available in in vSphere Standard or any other license. And what are the different licensing options? So that is the topic of module number 4. Here you can see we have a topic called license keys and something like that. So in module number 4, we will discuss the different license options, right? The different editions of this one. So I think you got the point, DRS. And another option, let me also explain this. We have DRS feature, which is called distributed resource scheduler, and we have DPM feature also available, which is called distributed power management. This is another feature, distributed power management, right? So what is distributed power management? Let me also give you an overview of that. DPM. See, distributed power management is an optional feature of VMware. This paper, okay, provide a technical overview, so you can read it. I think I should also send you this link, because I know Khalid just pinged me in the personal that I need this link. So Khalid, for you, I'm sending you this. Okay, so what is distributed? Okay, I think you can also download the PDF version, and the DPM is, for example, you have 100 ESXi host and you have 30 hosts and 100 VMs. During night time, right, the workload is not that much. So DPM and DRS will work together. It will move the virtual machine from 30 hosts to 20 hosts, and it will convert the rest of the 10 virtual machine, or place the rest of the virtual machine into sleeping mode. So this way you can save your power consumption and other server age and all these things. So DPM, right? So DPM is also one of the additional feature or optional feature, right? From the VMware side. Okay. So another option we have is high availability. What is high availability? High availability means that if you have multiple hosts, 1, 2, 3, and one of the host goes down, or maybe this one, so the virtual machines will be restarted on the other host. So that is the high availability feature. So what is high availability feature and what is FT? We will discuss all these options in module number 9. So this is the end of the module number 9. What is module number 10? vSphere life cycle. And I think one of the guy mentioned in the start of the session that they are planning to upgrade their environment from vSphere 7 to vSphere 8. So if you have an organization, if you have a customer or maybe in your organization, you have vSphere 7 deployed and you want to upgrade it, so module number 10 will help you, right? So in this module, we are going to learn how to upgrade the environment. Yes, Mohib, I think you have a question. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Actually, let me explain our current environment which are using. We have three hosts, sir. Three hosts, E6i, and one EMC storage. And we want to, as per our knowledge, when we are using this scenario, what's your suggestion regarding this and another our friends as well, which is in our this group? So I need this your suggestion. Is it possible to enable the DRS on this, or leave it enable the fault tolerance on this,
How
because we are
many
using
how many hosts you have?
three hosts and 110 VMs
Okay,
servers.
okay.
Yeah,
So, and what
yeah.
is your license edition?
Our is the enterprise edition.
Okay, yep. So if you have
Yeah,
vSphere Enterprise Plus, so go ahead
yeah,
and
yeah.
enable DRS feature. Yes.
But as we discussed with our advisor, he told us that the DRS is not benefit. It's not best for us. He told me that the main reason that when some maybe we during the maintenance when we some maintenance the host will be goes down, and the rest of VMs will be migrated to the another host. So
No,
that's
no,
the
no,
main
no.
concern.
Let me tell you one thing.
Okay.
DRS and high availability both feature can be enabled together, and even you can enable FT. So FT, DRS
Mm-hmm.
feature, and high availability, these three features can be enabled, can enable together, and you can, but obviously you need a proper guideline to enable that. So if you
Okay.
are planning to enable DRS feature, okay, let me tell you one thing. If you have a primary domain controller running on one host, and if you have additional domain controller on the other host, and let's
Mm-hmm.
say you enable DRS feature and DRS move both virtual machine on the same host. So is it a
Yeah.
good practice? No, it's not a good practice. So in DRS, we
Yeah.
have something called uh, affinity rules and anti-affinity rules. So when you properly configure DRS feature, uh, I mean there should be no issue, right? And we
Okay,
can
sir.
also
Okay, sir.
discuss this offline. I mean, if you have my contact number, you can just shoot me a message, and sometime we will discuss it if, in my free time.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. We have another doubt here as well. Recently, yesterday, I installed another A6i host on vSphere 8, and we have another three exist A6i which is running vSphere 7. So we want to upgrade the rest three A6i to the 8. So, what's your suggestion first? From where we can start here? Because on previous versions, we are moving all the VMs from one host to another host. Then we are upgrading the host. Then re migrate the server. That is our scenario. Any another suggestion regarding this to upgrade to the 7 to vSphere 8?
So basically, in module number 10, you will learn, but this is the practice, right? The first thing we upgrade our vCenter server, then we
Mm,
upgrade our ESXi host, then we upgrade the virtual machines, right? So this is the
mm,
process,
mm.
right? Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So this is how you upgrade your vSphere environment from the older version to the latest one. So there are different couples of documentation available on the VMware doc site. You can visit them and you can uh, start working on the environment. It will guide you properly.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I
No,
will
no.
ping you when I have any
Yeah,
doubt. I
you
will ping
first
you,
you
sir.
check the server hardware also for machine should.
Okay.
Sure. Sure.
One other thing. That's a very good point, Srinu. You also need to check if your hardwares are compatible with the latest version.
Mm,
You know, And
Yeah.
how you are going to
Yeah.
check that? VMware Compatibility Matrix is a website where you can
Yeah.
search about your hardware compatibility. So if you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
older
Already
hardware,
checked, sir.
okay, so your hardware are good to run the vSphere 8, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Currently, we are purchasing a Dell PowerEdge 760 because it's almost it's compatible. I think so because this is the latest version
Okay. I have some question.
760.
Yep, sorry. I have some question from Zubair Shams. He asked me to explain P2V. So P2V is basically a physical to virtual, right? Let's say you have a laptop or you have a hardware, physical hardware, and you want to convert that physical hardware into virtual machine. So that is P2V conversion. And your answer and your other question is, can we backup off vCenter server? Yes. And you can see here, uh, this is my lab. Let me show you. Uh, you can see since we have time. So you can see you can log into your vCenter appliance, right? We will discuss all these things in module number uh, 4, that how to take vCenter server backup, right? And you can log into vCenter server appliance management like this. And here we have an option called backup, and from here you can do that, right? And these are the options for backup. And the to answer your last question, what is update manager? So update manager was like a life cycle manager. Now it has been called the name is changed to life cycle manager. The previous name was update manager. So it's like the same thing or the same tool used to upgrade your environment from the older version to the latest version. And this is basically all the training. So the purpose of this session was to introduce you to these options, like what are these options used for, course introduction, vSphere, and all these steps, right? So and these are the options we discussed now. Topics to be covered in this whole training, like the installation and configuration of ESXi host, vCenter server, deployment and configuration, the different rules, how to create virtual switches, standard and distributed switch, data store, how to create virtual machine template snapshot, content libraries, manage virtual machine resource use, vMotion, storage vMotion, high availability, distributed resource scheduler, FT, and lifecycle manager. And that is the uh, end of today's session. So let me save the recording